Today we are going to be having conversations around repertoire. This is totally not scripted. It was not in the plan, in the list of topics that I have for this podcast marathon. It's not there. In fact, this episode does not have an official topic. It's just something I noticed today while working on a song in my repertoire. So I've been listening to St. Harrison for a while now. I love his voice texture and it's somewhat similar to how I sing. It's just that he has a lot of fry. If you notice, I'm even talking with fry now because I'm trying to be very intentional. He sings with a lot of fry, and I'm planning to work on that as well. So before we continue, welcome to the Making Musical Quantum Blips podcast. Today is going to be an amazing day. Today is day 9 out of the 20-day podcast marathon. If you made it this far, I want to congratulate you. Your resilience is showing forth, and it will bring about that goodness, that quantum leap in your vocal growth. So getting into today's plan. So we are going to call today's topic discussions around repertoire. And like I said earlier, I have been listening to St. Harrison, and boy, I love his singing so much. I love his songs so much that I enjoy them too much that I don't think I'll be able to score them. Okay, that's the first thing we're going to be talking about. It is possible for you to be emotionally attached to a singer or a song so much that you will not be able to learn from it. You must be able to shift from listening as a fan, listening as a lover of that person, to the technical aspect. Listen as a vocal technical student, as a this is stuff we do in universities in Nigeria. It's called SciWes or IT. Listen to that singer like an IT student, taking notes. Do not be blinded by your love. Do not listen like a fan. You can enjoy the song later, but for that time, because you want to learn, you need to move from listening as a fan and actually listening to learn particular stuff. So I've been listening to him for quite a while now, but I have not been able to learn anything because God, I love him too much. I love him too much. But like I said, we have to move from that part of our lives. So just yesterday I've been trying to listen technically, and I've noticed quite a number of things, and I'm going to make them known. So one of the little discoveries I made is that you cannot bank on the studio versions of songs if you want to improve. When it comes to things like texture, the texture of the person, if you're trying to walk your voice into that texture, you are going to do better if you watch the live performance of that person. Now, this is some of the reasons why you should do that. Now, studio itself is a craft. It's a skill. There's a lot of skill to be learned to be able to produce something out of the studio. Yeah? There's a lot of things you need to take into consideration. Now, in the studio, there's at least, no matter what the case may be, there must be this tiniest pitch correction. Then there's a lot of mixing and all that. So the sound is processed. So if you're seeking to work on your texture, it's like looking at something impossible. You are putting an unreal expectation before you. So it's always better. Even some live performances are processed, but no matter how processed they are, they cannot be as processed as the studio work, because the studio, the person is sitting there and processing it. Okay, I think I'm wrong on that. There are some churches and there are some stages or platforms where you sing where it is still very processed, but most times it is not really processed. So as much as you can lay your hands on live performances of those songs in your repertoire, it will really help you out. Another thing, or another reason why you must, or it's better or preferable you take the live versions, is if you are listening, you cannot see the shapes. I know it's easy to feel like you'll be able to picture the shape of the person's lips and mouth. Embouchure still means mouth when the person is singing, but that is not always the case. You might be able to picture it fine, the way the person is singing it, but you must be able to translate that sound into your own. How would you produce, especially when it comes to matters of texture, when you're trying to put your voice in a timbre that is not its natural timbre, there's a lot of manipulations to be done. So even if the person produced that sound with a particular mouth shape, it may not be the same for you because that is that person's texture. But because you're trying to fit or produce something of that nature, you would have to find the necessary tweaks that you need to make in your own body to be able to accommodate that particular timbre. I hope I'm not speaking Spanish. I really trust you're following. Okay, so that's another reason. So that was one of the things I noticed. Another thing is when you're listening to a song in your repertoire, you must ensure you're not immediately translating it into your voice or your style. Don't do that. If you do that, you'll be stuck where you are forever. Push yourself. I'm not talking about stressing yourself or pulling yourself into vocal fatigue, but push yourself beyond your style. Try to fit into that person's style. Now, let me give you the reason why I'm saying this. So, Sid Harrison has this really high, light vocal texture, even from his chest voice. And I do not really, my voice texture is light, but I have not worked on the higher part of my chest voice. I really hope you get that. If you're wondering what chest voice is, you could go back to our podcast on vocal registers and just check it. We've covered that. So I really do not have the very highs on my chest. He too does not have the very highs, but at least he's still higher than I am. But I was adamant and I did not want to explore that part of my voice, and I just wanted to force it into my style. But I just, listening to it now, I just cannot find that fulfillment. I cannot get what I want. So thinking about that, I said, okay, now I will try to pull myself into his style. And I'm doing that already. It's sounding ugly for now, but if I continue, it's going to get better. So that's another thing you need to look at. You need to pull yourself into that person's style. Okay, I'm not talking about matters of range extension. Then you go and push yourself unnecessarily to sing unnecessarily high and too far beyond your vocal range. That is bad. Alright, so don't do that. So I'm talking in terms of stylistics here. Don't force, if the person did a particular run, try to get that run exactly as the person did it. Don't try to change the run into your style, because if you do that, you're only reinforcing your style, hence no growth for you. Another thing about repertoire is the fear that you would totally lose yourself and you become a copycat and you would become that person. If you're able to copy someone so much that people call you a copycat, that is not necessarily a bad thing. What you're just going to do is diversify. Do not just copy one singer. It's a good trait. Trust me. It's a good trait if you know how to use it well. Do not just copy. It means you are very good at listening and trying to, using your own body to replicate the same sound you heard, even without having the same necessarily the same bodily physique, the same vocal physiology of that person, the same way the person's vocals was created. You don't have it, but you have a way of manipulating your vocals to achieve your own instruments to achieve that sound, and that's a good trait. It means you learn really good and fast. So if you're that kind of person, listen to a variety of people. Don't just be stuck with one person, because if you're stuck with one person, then you will look like that person. But take from this person, take from that song, take from this other song, take from that song, bring them together, and using your own creativity, your own artistic side, know how to properly put these things together. You're able to do this, you will be a very, very fantastic and unique singer, because nobody can point you to that person and say, oh, you're copying this person, oh, you're copying. The most they can do is say, oh, this part sounds like, oh, that part sounds like, but everything that you're doing sounds like you. Okay, today's episode is short. This is where we're going to be ending today. We just did random discussions around the repertoire. So I want to remind you again, we're going to commence in Band Lab Bootcamp very soon. So click the link, join up, and just make sure you're part of this class, because it will change your singing for life. Trust me, it opened me up to a lot of things. I've become more excellent, I've become more aware, my ears has become more aware. That's just the word, more aware, and a lot of things. All right, so that'll be all for today. Remember to remember to follow the podcast, remember to share it on your platforms, send to someone who you know would need this support. Do not be greedy with the gospel of good singing. All right, make musical quantum leaps this week, and bye.